The following video may possibly contain a shit ton of this. Or probably not, I don't know, do you care? I certainly don't. 2020. What could you say about 2020?
Terrible!
Yeah, let's be real, nobody doesn't want to remember about last year. Here we are again, we're under lockdown under a brand new sodding year.
Oh boy!
And by the time of this recording, the 6th of January, good old Boris Johnny John Johnson, for us in the UK, has put us under another fucking lockdown. Oh man. The trilogy's come full circle, guys! Boris Johnson, the Lockdown Trilogy. Oh man, I can't wait for the 4th installment, Boris Johnson 4. It's about time we had another lockdown. And in terms of this yet another lockdown, it'll probably be like how I went through last year. Such as popping in and out of my workplace, mostly because of Boris Johnson going flippity-floppity with its rules and regulations with the pandemic. Make up your mind, you fucking British Donald Trump looking head ass. And possibly what the hell I'm doing for a living, as you can plainly see. Playing with this guy's willy. Oh well. Even though 2020 wasn't that bad for me, such as watching a handful of new films, and looking at stuff that obviously feel like an afterthought. And obviously going to the Starwind Zone.
Prepare for trouble.
Wait. It's me! There I am!
And also, 2020 was a ambitious year for, surprisingly, the subject matter of the video. Thomas and Friends. Thomas the Flying Tank Engine. Tommy the Tank Spanky Dank Doodly Dump. Train with a face. Locomotive with facial features that scare the bloody parents because they're stupid. And possibly the children.
Children! Fuck off!
But yeah, Thomas has been very hit and miss, and it's kind of obvious that the series is backpedaling again. And just to save for time, what I think of the Big Adventures era from the movie, from specials, and what we have in terms of episodes, it's pretty much hit or miss. There's sometimes a good episode, sometimes a bad, or just plain right terrible, or what the hell were you thinking when you wrote this? That's the best way I can describe it. Sometimes so, pretty much like the Brenner era. There's some good, there's some bad, there's some what the hell were you thinking moments. But let's just say it's a bit more higher, like, in terms of it. God help me, that's all I can say for whatever the hell this is, and that's what we're talking about today. And it ain't that swell. But we'll be mostly talking about the information on what we know so far, so we're not obviously gonna go and be like, this is terrible, I hate it, when we obviously don't have anything to go by, so there could be possibility of a follow-up video just to talk about, let's say, 5 or 10 episodes. That's what I'm roughly going for if we ever do get here, but, you know, there could be something else I could be doing right now, such as working on a remake that's been on a back burner for God knows how long, or possibly working on episode 62 of Billy's Bizarre Adventures. Or possibly a new episode of Mario and Friends, seeing that no one has ever bothered to ask about that. Ain't that swell?
Oh no! Anyway, look.
Now then, this information that we know about what's to come for Thomas's future was provided to us by the Soda Island forums, aka SIF, who are better well known for hiding a shit ton of things from the fandom and only giving them to a specific amount of people. As we're all aware by now, Thomas and Friends is due to undergo a massive reboot and retooling of the brand's aesthetic and continuity. A 2D cartoon which is due to relaunch next year with a 104 episode deal with Nelvana. On Sunday the 22nd of November, I courtesy of a friend, I attended the conference call throughout TAAFI conference where details of the new series were outlined. One of the directors of the new series of Nelvana, Campbell Breyer, was being interviewed. Mr. Breyer revealed that Mattel had approached Nelvana to come on board as production partner for the series, and said that they wanted to reboot the series and try something that's different. Gee, I wonder what happened last time when you tried something new. It completely backfired, didn't it, guys?
We can't stray too far from what's been established. We can do new things with these trains, but what can we do that's different while maintaining Thomas who he is?
Mattel said,
"We don't want to use wheels as hands, but we are allowed to be more cartoony, stretchy, and can pop off the train."
Pop a boner. I would say this, if you gave those fuckers hand, you'd be giving the community more fucking brownie points than you've already did.
But we are allowed to be a bit more cartoony, stretchy. They can pop the trains off the tracks and jump and turn a 360 degree. So we're definitely not locked to the track.
Oh no, it's Chuggington all over again! So whilst Big World Big Adventures may have taken Thomas on some wild adventures and had him doing some crazy stunts, it's going to be a bit more outlandish here. I mean, having Thomas teaching us how to do chai tea was not outlandish or batshit insane enough for you? No? Okay. When asked if the new production was intended to skew more towards a younger audience, Mr. Breyer told the moderator that Nelvana was hoping to reach a broad audience through their new approach to the series, committing that,
"With the quite slow nature of the original show, it appealed to a younger audience. Our version, I don't want to say wacky, but a bit more stretchy and toony."
So seeing the trains gesturing was not enough for you? No? No? Okay. On the subject of the engines and the world they now inhabit, Thomas isn't likely to be going around the world anymore. Thank God. He'll be right at home on the island of Sodor. However, it won't be the Sodor that we've come to know. Shit. There's always a fucking catch with this shit.
"The core group of trains come across more as kids in the new show. The world of the island of Sodor has become a giant playground for them."
What, is it open world like GTA?
"As I remember, the original property, Thomas was a coming-of-age character, not a child."
Well, technically he did act like a child throughout, from season 8 to the very end of the show before you reboot the fucking series.
"But a recent gratitude of the train program, coming to a train central makes him mark the world of trains. He was always trying to prove himself, and in those days there wasn't as much of a playful nature to Thomas."
Have you seen The Adventure Begins? The only thing you've probably seen, or probably season 1, or the book that he appeared in? No?
He was all about towing the line, living up to the other trains. Part of the transition is we're allowed to play a little more. It seems to be a much bigger world. The island of Sodor is a bigger playground, much less to the involvement of the older trains, more about Thomas's core group of friends playing.
So that means every single tank engine is gonna appear, but every single tender engine is gone bye-bye.
No!
No former details have been given on who's Thomas's core group of friends, or playmates, are going to be in this upcoming reboot. However, from what we can Glenn Quagmire, expect to see more of the younger characters from the series and shy away from the older, maturer influences who may have not lent themselves well into storytelling that Mattel and Nelvana want to put across to their audience and consumers from 2021 onward. The aim appears to be to maintain the aesthetic as close to what Thomas always has been. Are you really sure? Nah, I don't think so. However, the emphasis appears to be toe the line on the toy line aesthetic. Oh my god. Talk about a tongue twister. Who the fuck wrote this? Sharon Miller can write better than you. Mattel's brand department have been actively involved with the new updated series. However, from what was said in the interview session, the new series has been afforded the luxury of creative freedom. What, there was never any creative freedom before? I mean, you've got an entire library of characters, an entire library of locations, and so many things you could do, but no, let's just stick with whoever the hell's living in Tinmouth sheds and call it a day. With some breaks being applied to the brand team. Well, judging by what they're doing, there has never been any breaks since the moment they bought the series. With some breaks being applied by the brand team.
Mattel's brand is that they're the guardians of Thomas's legacy, so we told them to let us know what we can and can't do. With the 3D show, despite it being 3D, the models were pretty much based off their live-action models. We had much more freedom to deviate from that. First of all, because Mattel said, we want this to be a reboot, we want something new, So we're unshackled from the original so we could do our own look within reason. Right off the bat, Mattel was thrilled because we gave them this appealing, fun, energetic design.
Okay, knowing I have not mentioned anything about Thomas's design throughout the entire video, I'm just gonna say this. The character redesigns in the Bob the Builder reboot look more closer to how they appeared in the original.
As the show went on and new characters came along, we pushed a little too far in some places.
Really? Maybe, oh no, maybe throughout the model era you could have done something with half of the characters that only appeared once, which you pissed away half of your money on, to the point where you made a double of a character that only appeared once, double of a chassis of a character that appeared once, and when it comes to your CGI department, making 13 new characters and half of them being bland as hell until you flesh them out in your diversity shit show, which you clearly didn't care about to begin with.
And the brand would come in and say, "Oh, look here, there's 30 old model packs of pictures and designs and angles of different characters, Norman." "Oh, Mom!" And we needed to pull back a bit and try and make sure that we stay true to the brand.
Are you sure about that?
Sometimes we'd pitch things and they'd say, "That wouldn't work on a toy track," so we wouldn't do it. We're really given the freedom of trying something new. Basically, do what you want and we'll tell you if you're going too far.
You are going too far. As I've mentioned earlier, the new series is grounded on the island of Sodor, Thomas's home for the last 75 years. Mr. Breyer went on to give us a deeper insight on what we can expect to see from this bigger world that we will see in the 2D version of the show.
Besides the trains themselves, the island itself plays a huge part. And I can't speak highly enough on our design team that's come up with this beautiful environment. The island of Sodor was originally off the coast of England. That's not really important. It's not part of the story.
Yes, it is. We literally have a handful of stories where X character leaves Sodor, or X character from the mainland visits Sodor. So it's technically part of the story.
It's an island. It's separated from everywhere else. Every town, every city is connected by rail. Rail is the primary source of transportation.
So is everything else, but okay.
This island is very diverse. You have desert canyons, lush countryside, seaside towns, industrial mining towns, etc.
What is this, Super Mario? From what I can interpret here, Sodor is going to be an every island from here on out, abandoning the sequential British tone and setting which has been the aesthetic of the series since 1945. Firstly, why? Second of all, I was kidding about the Mario thing.
In the art direction that's really we've been able to push in the new directions, the island is a playground for these kids. It's a real toony show, lots of stretch and squash, not Tex Avery style, but the trains are able to hop and jump and spin. I think people are going to love it.
Thanks, I hate it.
Because of it's brand new, but not that much different from what people love.
Fuck off!
When asked about broadening an anticipation of Mattel's boundaries over whether or not something will be approved by the brand team, Mr. Breyer had no qualms over the way things are being approved.
No, we don't have two versions of the model. This show needs to look like it's fully 2D, looks like a traditional show rather than the older Flash shows.
Well, judging by the picture, we can technically tell it's Flash animated, but fingers crossed it's not going to be that awful choppy type of Flash, but something a bit more nice and smooth type of Flash animation, if you all know where I'm coming from. Or not, then, well, I tried.
As you said, these are acquired rigs.
As you said, these are complicated rigs. Fucking hell, this is fucking complex for a 2D show.
I animated when Harmony was brand new and animators would rig things themselves, but these 2D rigs are getting close to 3D technicality and difficulty level. And we have these amazing riggers who are doing amazing things.
He went on to discuss the process behind the production.
At the same time, because of that, we have a lot of young 2D animators who don't come from a drawing background or a design background, but have really a strong sense of acting, timing, and weight.
Wait, so you're letting these people who don't know how to draw What could possibly go wrong? But when they're coming up with a difficult pose, where they are struggling to make the model that hits the pose that the shot needs, we're trying to encourage them to draw it. So on top of the animation team, we have an amazing posing team who create the poses for the animation team. So we have a wide skill set of animators, some who will draw more than others, but in the end, you're not going to be able to tell as a viewer. Well, you just told us. You fucking told us right now. You've ruined the illusion. You're making kids cry! It's very beneficial that it's being animated in-house by Nelvana animators, for the reason that it is easier to stay in contact with the animation supervisor and animators themselves to overcome these issues. By no means I do mean to. It's not a bad thing, but the people are coming up and don't know and don't have a drawing background. These people are bringing new ways to thinking process. You've literally hired people who don't know how to fucking draw. The discussion then led to how the bipedal characters, the humans, are going to be animated. And the discussion lead into how these were traditionally static figures for the first 23 years of the series' run. Unfortunately, the human touch isn't going to be a huge factor in Thomas and Friends in 2021. Then again, there was never any human touch to begin with. I mean, look what they've done. The trains are the characters. They're not driven by humans. This might be the first time, even though they weren't a big deal in the show, they've always had an engineer. Firstly, don't mean driving fireman or crew, and also there are moments where they're not technically there in the story, and there are moments where they technically choose what they can and cannot do under the power of their driver or fireman. So I'm not surprised. Heck, even the most infamous story where Aaron presumed that a specific character was left there to die has this in, so anything goes. This made me really happy that nobody needs to drive a train. If they are a runaway, minecarts are coming at the train. Thomas doesn't need a driver to make him jump or flip over the minecarts. The expectation is Sir Topham Hat, of course. Minecarts? Oh no! Numpty Pootis 8012 predicted minecarts in Thomas! No! Also, they're called troublesome trucks, not minecarts, you pleb. Also, I've not mentioned this sooner, but it's good to know that Gordon and Fatty are here, so all hope is not lost. Oh, who am I kidding? All hope is lost the moment that Brittlecroft left the company. We all know that the engine crews were given a marginalised role in the series from the 2000s onwards, but this is a huge departure to know that Thomas will no longer be involved with the driver or fireman going forward. He's kinda the chief of the train's operation, but we don't specify that. But you just did! But we're moving along thinking everybody knows who Sir Topham Hat is. He's a comedic foil in our version. He's really flustered and all over the place. He's really the only human character who interacts with the trains, not even that regularly. But we do have humans in the background, depending on the show, but generally in the background. Oh, thank God, at least humans are still around. Well, then again, throughout the entire Brenner era, they literally made him into a comedic foil to begin with, so, they were already doing your job, mate. When asked if Sir Topham Hat would have dialogue, Mr. Bright confirmed this would be the case. However, when asked if he would speak with an English accent, nope, not doing that. Not doing that. You can't put your finger on where he's from, but he's great. Whether this is the only case in the US dub, I'm uncertain. There was no confirmation or mention of a UK dub in the course of the interview, but one hopes that there will be. Whilst the US team has always recorded first whilst production has been handled from the UK, this series appears to be dealt through North American solely with no UK involvement. So there will be North American voices for the characters. You know, Nick Starlander is right, America always fucks shit up. The moderator went on to discuss that the model and CGI series had maintained that Thomas and the other engines would behave and work the way a real-life locomotive would, and that the new 2D series would likely depart from this concept and move on to a whole new world of crazy antics and adventures, which would lend itself to a new meaning of storytelling. Surprisingly, this part kind of feels fine. I don't know why. The one thing I would say that the Thomas series is kind of sort of lacking, and to be honest, this kind of implies for some shows, films, and what have you, it's about the adventure. Like, even what you're doing right now, if you're gonna see your friend or your loved one, it's about the adventure. Pretty sure what's to that makes no utter sense, but oh well. Mr. Bry confirmed that the focus of the new series would be action and fun. Not that the old shows weren't full of action and fun, but were leaning more into that. When asked about the role of the narrator, he also confirmed that there wouldn't be. No narrator. It's a big change. This is down to the fact there isn't a real need for one in this setting. Whilst Ringo Starr and those who followed him would give us exposition on the characters' feelings and expressions, with the 2D version, there isn't that need, Mr. Bry goes on to say. I think we have more freedom of expression than the 3D approach did. Oh, so you're implying that Season 12 all the way up to the very end was a waste of our time? Okay, thanks for spitting in 3D animation altogether. You do realise there are 3D movies and TV shows that are trying to capture the 2D aesthetic, right? No? Okay. The 3D shows were set in a virtual sets, but other than flying the camera around a lot more, I don't think they took a lot of opportunities to make something different. Mattel specifically wants something different. Well, I've been looking at the fanbase, they've been screaming in your fucking eardrums on wanting something different. And what did you do? You brought back a handful of returning characters and did
Nothing! Absolutely nothing!
Our trains move much more freely. They stretch and we have more opportunities for fun scenarios. They're like kids. The only adult train who really interacts with the kids is Gordon, who is a father figure in the show. We have more freedom than the 3D show.
And I'm gonna be honest, I'm not gonna repeat myself with the 2D, 3D thing there, but, you know. And I'm just gonna wrap it up here, because there's no point going over the last two, but they'll be up on screen, so feel free to pause if you want to read it, because they're technically wrapping stuff up, and also the final thoughts, so anything goes. So what do I think? Well, obviously it's a no-brainer that Mattel is backpedaling yet again, so God knows what the hell they're gonna do when they say, hey, I got an idea, let's make it live action, and it's just some guy in those bloody Thomas mascot costumes. That'll be fucking freaky if we come to think about it. Like, my god. It'll defeat the purpose of it being a train. It will. Like, my god. But the only thing we kind of know is that Thomas, Scorn, and the Facatroll are obviously gonna come back for this. Yeah, what'd you know? Comes full circle. And judging by who we have so far in terms of mention, I'm probably going to presume that the modern Steam team, and just as a little 50-50, Diesel and Cranky might join them as well, because let's be real, they're the second characters you come to think of when it kind of comes to Thomas these days, so yeah, you can't have anything Thomas related without those two mentioned. And I'm just going to say is, even though we got, like I said before, just one picture and just that tiny bit of information, I'll probably do a follow-up video where I talk about the, let's say, the first 5 or 10 episodes or whatever I've seen, and we'll probably go off from there. So that's about it, and just as a quick update on what's to come throughout the rest of the channel, as said earlier, a new remake which has been on the back burner, another episode of Billy's Bizarre Adventures, and yeah, and possibly something new, I guess. I don't know, I'm trying to get there. So to the one person that sat through this entire video, or probably stay till the very end, thank you for coming. Now,
Go away!